In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make pop music. And to do that, I remade a very trendy song right now called That's So True by Gracie Abrams. And I'll break down my remake of the song's elements, the sounds of those elements, the mixing, the structure and arrangement, all that jazz. So hopefully by the end of this tutorial, you can make a song in a similar pop music style to this one. Set the tempo around 109, 110 BPM. Start off by getting a guitar. Now you could either just record the guitar yourself, like playing the guitar, or you could find some really good samples online from places like Splice, which is paid for, or Looperman, which is completely free. You could find really good quality samples on those services usually. Next, make some strings from the chords from that guitar. These are just the same exact chords from the guitar sample. Each chord takes up one bar like this, and they're structured in a way where the root notes of each chord are on the bottom laid out like that. I use this viola sustain preset from Flex to accomplish the sound. And for the mixing, all I did is a simple EQ that takes out a great chunk of the lows over here just because we're going to make a very prominent bass later, and we don't want the lows of these strings, the unneeded lows, to counteract with that bass and make it sound muddy and gross in the mix. So that's why we do that over here. Next, chop up those chords into piano. These are the same exact chords from the strings from earlier, and they follow the rhythm of the guitar as well. I use this soft piano preset from Labs to accomplish the sound, and for the mixing, I put on the same EQ from the strings from earlier for the same exact reasons, getting out those unneeded lows. Next, arpeggiate those chords into an ARP, and the way I created this ARP is just by going up to the wrench up here and clicking arpeggiate on the chords over here, and you could get something sounding like this. The main purpose of the ARP is just to fill up the background of the mix and keep the rhythm going. It's not to stand out at all by any means, it's just really a background filler for the overall track. And a good organic acoustic sound that you can use for a background filler is a wind sound, and I use this tuba preset from Flex to accomplish this sound. And for the mixing, again, the same EQ from earlier, taking out those unneeded lows. Next, take the bass notes of the chords and put them into a bass preset. And by the bass notes, I mean the root notes just from the chords. So for example, if this is an F sharp chord over here, you're going to have an F sharp for the bass or root note, and then if this is an A sharp chord over here, you're going to have an A sharp for the bass or root note. And you do the same for all of the root / bass notes over here and put them into a bass preset sounding something along the lines of this. As you see, I kept the notes for the bass just in long patterns like this. Long, simple notes, nothing too crazy or anything like that. Just keeping it a very background bass sound to elevate those lower ends. Not doing any funky rhythms or anything like that just to make the mix all muddy and gross. Just keep everything nice and simple. Let the vocals and everything shine through with simple instrumentation like this bass. And to accomplish the sound, I use this upright bass preset from Flex. Make sure you go for a very simple, like standalone, organic, acoustic type bass sound. It fits really well with like the piano strings and guitar. And for the mixing, I put a Fruity Blood overdrive on here just to really give it some extra power in the mix and elevate it over those other sounds, just so you could hear it better in the mix without like turning up the volume too much and making it sound like weird in the mix. Now for the drums, just very simple drums over here. We just have a kick going in the chorus over here. It's very soft, muffled kick, just kind of ride with the rhythm and go in the background over here. And for the mixing, I put on this Fruity Blood overdrive on here, but I actually turned up the filter all the way just to really give it that muffled feel. Without the filter, it sounds like this. And those higher ends can really pierce through the mix and make the mix sound a little uncomfortable in the final result. So just turning up that filter all the way will give it a more muffled feel and save your ears later on. Tones down those harsh higher ends. Now for the structure and arrangement of this track. So I really split this up into two parts over here. This is like an intro or verse or pre-chorus or something like that. And then this is the full chorus over here. So for the intro / verse / pre-chorus, you have just the guitar playing for the instrumentation, and then you have the vocals playing as well. This is where you could really get creative with your lyricism and vocal melodies, and you can really focus on those vocals for the mix over here. And then for the chorus, this is where you bring all the instrumentation all together. You have the piano, the strings, the tuba arp thing, the guitar, the bass, and the kick as well. This is where you want everything playing all together so you have that fullness of the song. And this is what the full structure of the track looks like over here. And after all that, here's the final result.
Now I'm positive I should go and warn her.